Hello, Washington football team family, and welcome to another edition of the Washington Wrap, a 10-minute single issue show where we, your analysts and pundits covering the team, take just 10 minutes and just one issue and wrap it up as tightly as we can. On today's episode, and probably no surprise with the start of training camp today, we're talking about training camp and what indicators we need to see from the Washington football team if we are really going to take them seriously in 2021. There's a lot of people around the NFL saying that they're the favourites for the NFC East and maybe, one of the top three teams in the NFC in general. So if that's going to come true, if this team is going to have on-field success this year, what are the early signs we need to see in training camp without blowing things too much out of proportion? Joining me, as always, this week is my good friend Felix Trammell from 1340 Fox Sports Radio and Robbie Duncan, who is probably the biggest offensive line nerd covering the team you'll find. But we like to push him out of his comfort zone every now and then. So we're going to start the clock. We've got 10 minutes to wrap it up. Let's bring them in, start the clock. And Felix, we're going to start with you because, you've been to a lot of training camps. I've been to a lot of training camps. Robbie's been to a lot of training camps. We know how quickly little early signs can turn into big overblown stories. But what are you looking for in training camp 2021 to be a little bit of an indicator that things are looking and trending upwards for this team?
All right, for me, in the last few training camps, the defense has been so far ahead of the offense that the defense was told to dial it back. And that kind of hurt both sides of the ball. The defense really didn't get a good training camp, and the offense was just getting baby steps until they got to real games. I need to see out of the offense just the ability to push the ball down the field from whoever's behind center. It doesn't matter if it's Fitzpatrick or Heineke or Allen, that the ball is being moved down the field so we can honestly assess the offensive line, who's going to be that starting five up front. Those receivers that are those fourth, fifth, and sixth receivers who we need to make decisions on. Can we really evaluate them fully in the offense as long as the offense is moving the ball down the field? So for me, I need to see the offense come out with a certain level of functionability and just showing that they have a good mastery of the offense. Because a lot of times it's been spoon-fed on the offensive side, and the defense has kind of been light years ahead, and it kind of hampers both sides on that issue. So for me, if the offense is pushing the ball down the field, I don't care if I see interceptions. I just want to see the ball moving down the field and see the full scope of the offense.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good point and a good one to start on because, everyone around the NFL acknowledges that the defense is the strength of this Washington football team, and that's great. But that does create issues in training camp when the defense is so far ahead of your offense. And I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Felix. The past few years, there's been a wide disparity. So looking at that disparity closing in this training camp is going to be crucial. I think that's a really, really good one you've opened the proceedings with here today, and it's going to be fascinating to see if we get a little bit of Fitz magic in training camp and, the impact that has because Alex Smith, Deshaun, not Deshaun, blanking on his name, Dwayne Haskins, Dwayne Haskins. It's been, there hasn't been a real threat from the quarterback in training camp. There's been talent and there's been moving the chains, but nothing that the defenses are really terrified of. And Fitzmagic has a little bit of X factor about him that is going to keep defenses honest, or at least keep them on their toes. So that's going to be an interesting one. Robbie, your thoughts on that before jumping into your own thing about what you're looking for?
Yeah, I think you're going to see the quarterback position with what we got in Fitzpatrick. Yes, he'll have his bad moments like he always does, but the good thing about him is he's willing to take risks and force the ball downfield some, which should open up the rest of the offense as well, especially with the running game. I think the running game kind of got hurt last year because there was no real threat from the quarterback position. Alex Smith wasn't forcing the ball downfield. It just was not his style play. I don't think his leg allowed him to do what he used to do. But even before the leg injury, he wasn't much of a, force the ball downfield guy. He was very much a check down guy, quick passing attack guy. So I think the whole operation is going to improve with better quarterback play, and it's not just in the passing game. So that's what I'm looking forward to as well. Whether it's Fitzpatrick or if Heineke gets a shot, I think we'll see that he'll get the ball downfield some too. So That's what I'm looking forward to with how the quarterback position will affect the offense.
Yeah, and just real quick before you jump into yours, the Heineke situation is interesting because we know there's some talent there, and take nothing away from Colt McCoy, take nothing away from the myriad of backups we've had here the past few years, but Heineke running the twos is going to be interesting as well because not only is there some talent on the twos on offense, there's still some big talent on twos on the defense. Like realistically, you're probably going to have guys like Tim Settle and Matt Ioannidis on the twos on that front seven. That's a really good lesson for someone like Heineke.
Yeah, and you're going to have most likely Cameron Curl working with the twos here and there, and Jeremy Reeves.
Yeah,
it's going to be that's a pretty deep defense now that they've built. So he'll be going against some quality players with those twos. So what he does, if he does light it up in camp like we hope he will, the people that say, oh, he's just going against the twos, well, take a good
There's
look at
those twos.
who those twos are. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going to be something to keep in mind and look forward to as well.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. All right, so separately from that, moving on, what are you going to be looking for at training camp to see if there's good signs that the Washington football team is serious in 2021?
Well, I mean, I'm going to stick to my brand for a second and really see what we got in Sam Cosmi, the second-round pick. It really... I think it really speaks to how confident they are in what they already have besides Cosmi as well with the move of letting go of Morgan Moses. It's either a sign that they feel good about Charles Leno or Cornelius Lucas, but I think it's also a good sign that they feel pretty confident in what Cosmi can bring to the table as a rookie this year. So I want to see how he hits the ground running against that stacked defensive line and how he competes and how he looks. And that's going to be a very big if he can play and make an immediate impact this year, then that's huge. He's on a rookie deal for 4 years total, and that's good quality play on a cheap contract. So I would love to see him come in and really kind of make a good impression right off the get-go.
So not including the first couple of days of training camp before the pads go on, but once we get into the meaty part of training camp, the pads go on, we're getting some full-on 7-on-7 and 11 versus 11 action. Where are you thinking Sam Cosmi's going to line up in, with the ones, with the twos? What are you anticipating we'll see from him at that point of training camp?
I think we'll see him line up with the twos like tomorrow if they go through their first practice even without the pads on. I think he'll be with the twos, probably at left tackle or right tackle, depending how they shake it out. But I think we'll see I think Sadiq Charles is still in the mix with tackle. He's still listed. I just was looking at the Washington's roster earlier this week, and he's listed as a tackle still. He's not listed as a guard. So
happy birthday yesterday for Sadiq Charles, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's right. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
But I think we'll see him working with the twos, and then kind of he'll get his burn with the ones here and there. But just to get him, not throw him to the wolves right off the get-go, but kind of get his feet wet first. But again, like we've covered, those twos are going to be starting quality twos. He'll go against Montez Sweat will probably go against him here and there, but with the twos you got William Bradley King and Shaka Toney, very talented guys that they drafted, and guys that have been there, James Smith Williams. So he's going to get his the competition is going to be pretty high even with those twos.
And iron sharpens iron, as we all know. So
exactly.
Speaking of that, for me, there's a lot of storylines I'm looking at in training camp, but the number one thing for me is year 2 of Chase Young. Obviously, if this team's going to have any success, its best players need to play well, and I think we can all agree that when it really comes down to it, Chase Young is either currently or hopefully going to be the best player on this team. Given the draft capital spent on him, you want that to be the case. And the talent we saw last year certainly didn't do anything to dull those expectations. And year 2 for Chase Young, obviously we want to avoid a sophomore slump, but what we really want to see is that next step. And, if you think the type of improvement you can see from a rookie going into year 2, if we see that out of Chase Young, considering how good his rookie year was, that's very exciting and very, very important for what this team can achieve in 2021. And Off field as well, Chase Young last year, he's already on a team with some really strong leaders. I mean, starting at the head coach position, obviously, but you think about guys on the defense and the defensive front with him, like Jonathan Allen, team captain. There's a lot of good culture and good leadership on this team, and Chase Young didn't really have to show those signs yet, and may never have to, but I think that's there. I think he has that within him, and I'm excited to see that part of him come out this year as well, and I think training camp this year is going to be a really good opportunity for that side of him to start developing and showing as he continues to mature and continues to develop. In terms of on-field, I'm really excited to see him and Montez Sweat and how they continue to build that rapport as well. So for me, the storyline I'm looking at, and I think a lot of Washington football team fans will be looking at as well, is Chase Young. So look, we have 20 seconds left. Last thing to mention, obviously I'm not coming out for training camp this year, still unvaccinated here in Australia. Travel still not allowed out of Australia. It's killing me. I'm seeing all the fans asking, are you coming to training camp this year? I'm seeing all the photos, seeing all the hype videos and stuff. I wish I was there so bad because, training camp is where I met both you, Felix and Robbie as well. And, just two of the great friendships that I've made at training camp each year. I'm really, really hoping this is the last year I'm not at training camp. 2019, I didn't come because my daughter was born. 2020, obviously COVID, and now 2021, COVID persists, still not coming out. Hopefully 2022, because I miss it. Whether it's Richmond or somewhere in the DMV, somewhere new, that area feels like a home away from home for me, and I certainly miss it and hanging out with you guys. But I know, Felix, you'll be going to the sessions up in the DMV at Fairfax. Not Fairfax, what am I thinking of? Ashburn. Ashburn.
And Ashburn.
A couple of times, and Robbie, I don't know if you're going to be able to make it out, but I know you'll be watching closely from wherever you are. Washington football team fans, make sure you can see that Twitter handles under us here. I'm Chadwico TWW, Felix is HDTR and Blessed, and Robbie is Robbie Duncan OL. Make sure you're really following along closely because we are going to be providing, the best kind of coverage we can from wherever we are. Felix, Robbie, always a pleasure talking football with you. Any last comments before we all sign off?
Football's back.
I was about to say the same thing.
And in the immortal words of Danny Rojas, football is life. So let's have a good training camp. Let's pray for no injuries, no drama, and go into 2021 season healthy, strong, and potentially the sky's the limit for this Washington football team fan. Thanks for watching, everyone. Wherever you get engaging with this, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, via podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Leave us a like, leave us a follow, leave us a subscription, leave us a review and rating, whatever it is, it helps us out. And more importantly, just tell your friends, share it, retweet it, like it, whatever. We'll see you next week, or probably a little bit sooner than that, with training camp stories, and go Washington.